It is from Turkey to Syria to Iraq, okay? And it borders Iran as well, okay, at the end. So it covers Turkey, Syria, Iraq, and then it borders, at the end, it borders Iraq and Iran. Okay? So parang may magkakagulo doon ng war. Hindi na malayo ko yung isipin, isn't it?
Yes.
Because we know it's parang current events nga what's happening. Alright, so here we see that 200 million armies will be there, and then their horses looks like lion that comes, and fire comes out from the mouth of the lions. Alright? Ano yan? May ganitong animal ba? Na horse na mukhang lion? Well, that is what the Bible says. Okay? Just write it down. I don't know how it will come out in the future, but that is what the Bible says. Okay? Now, and then in chapter 10. Chapter 10, it's like a prelude, no? Parang meron siyang intermission. Why? In chapter 10, there's an angel talking to John. And the angel has this book, little book. Alright? And then the angel, actually, there is this 7 peals of thunder. 7 peals of thunder that is happening, and then John heard something, all right? And then he was about to write it down, and then the angel said, no, don't write it down, seal it up. This is one thing that, this is the things that I don't want you to write down, all right? Okay, ano kaya yung sinabi dun sa 7 peals? Ano kaya yung message sa 7 peals?
Secret.
Secret, okay? Ayaw maalamin ni God eh, okay? Ayaw maalamin ni God. So we see that God is really in control. Ano yung gusto niyang paalam? What are the things that He wants to be known? Alright? Because God is in control. God sometimes doesn't tell us everything. He just need to tell us some things that we can absorb and we can understand. Because you know what? If God will tell us everything, I don't think we can absorb and we cannot take it.
Yes.
Alright? There are some things that need to be concealed. Okay? Now, just like Daniel, if you were in Daniel with me, di ba? Si Daniel, God told Daniel, huwag mo na intindihin, conceal it until the future. Alright? Because Daniel, when he wrote everything, he couldn't really understand. Okay? But now we understand Daniel because we are in the future. We are the things, we have already seen what happened in history. And God also has kept something for the future. But it is not for us to know. Huwag nang makulit. Diba? Huwag nang alamin. Ano kaya yung 7 seal na yan? Sabi na nga, huwag alamin eh. No? Kaya huwag na natin tanungin. Okay? Alright? But John, the angel was telling John, you know what? Don't write it down, but I want you to eat this book, okay? And it will make your stomach bitter when you eat it, but your lips sweet like honey, correct? Okay, draw it down. Ano ba ibig sabihin yan? We will not be interpreting now because part 3 will be the interpreting of Revelation. Part 2 is more on that observing Revelation. So in part 2, you will be asked to draw. Observe, observe, observe. So that when we go to part 3, we will now do all the interpretation based on what you have observed in part 2. So this is the trend, okay? The plan for this course. Okay? Now, but I want you to take note of what the angel said in Revelation 10. The angel says, you know what? When the 7th trumpet is sounded, no, it's about to sound, the mystery of God is finished. Alright? So when pag nag-sound na yung trumpet, lahat ng the mystery of God, ano ba ibig sabihin nun? Alright? We will understand that later on. Is finished. Okay? So that will be part of His wrath. Lahat ng gustong gawin ni God will be finished. Alright? So, when John ate this little book, he was told that, John, I want you to prophesy again. Okay? Look at chapter 10, the ending of chapter 10. I want you to prophesy again about what?
Concerning peoples and
peoples,
nations.
the nations, and the
tongues
kings.
and kings.
Okay, correct? So take note of those details because later on you would see, is John going to prophesy something about the nations? When the Bible talks about nations, he is referring to what? What people? The Gentiles, okay? As against the Jew, all right? Because the Israelites, God is going to deal them in a different way, okay? And we will find that out, all right? Now, so that's chapter 10. So John is to be prophesying again concerning the nations. So in chapter 11, it started with John. John was asked to measure the temple, isn't it? But then he was said, okay, measure the temple, but leave the outer courts to whom?
The nations.
To the nations. Remember, he was to prophesy about the nations. So what God is revealing is that, you know what? The temple will be rebuilt. Measure it. You don't measure something that you will not be building, isn't it? Measure it, but the outer courts will be occupied, or it will be for the Gentiles, for the nations. All right. So it's a prophecy on what's going to happen. Is there a temple today in Israel? No. But is it occupied by whom? By the mosque, by the Gentiles. Okay. All right. Will there be a temple eventually?
Yes.
If you observe very carefully, it seems that God is saying that there is going to be a temple. But not the entire complex anymore, because the courts will be for the
Gentiles.
Will there be a mosque and a temple at the same time? I don't know. But I know that there will be a temple and the outer part will be given the Gentiles. Is it in the form of a mosque? I don't know. But I know it's for the Gentiles. Okay? Alright? And then in the same chapter, before, remember the seventh trumpet is about to sound. Alright? But maraming nangyari before the seventh trumpet. Alright? John is to prophesy about the Gentiles, and then before the seventh trumpet is sounded, what? Two witnesses. God has brought up two witnesses. Alright? Two, what is their power? They prophesy for how long?
For
1,260 days, all right? Take note of that. And you would see this 1,260 days repeated and repeated and repeated again. Maybe in other forms. How many months would be 1,260 days?
42 months.
42 months. Mababasa niyo ulit yan somewhere. All right? Or 42 months will be equivalent to how many years?
3.5.
3.5 years. You would see that this time is paulit-ulit. So take note of that. Okay? And then these two witnesses will be witnessing to who, what people? To the Jews, because they are Jews. They are in the great city of Jerusalem, isn't it? Yes. Okay, and they will be killed, and they will be raised up again by God, and taken to heaven. And when they were raised up, okay, what will happen now? The sounding of the seventh trumpet. Okay? So, makikita nyo, bago mag-sound yung seventh trumpet, what did God send the two people? The two witnesses. Who is going to prophesy? Who is going to witness? There are two witnesses for Jesus Christ. So, makikita nyo before the judgment, the most severe judgment comes, God is doing everything to preach the word. Alright? Okay. So, let's look. Chapter 12. Yes. Okay. These two witnesses, they will have power to fire coming out of their mouth. They can stop the rain as much as they want to. Correct? So they have supernatural powers. So imagine niyo in the future, it will seem to be a battle between good and evil, supernatural power, and time, right? Okay, this is not movie. This is reality. All right? Okay. You want to be here when this comes? You answer me after you study the book. Okay? I don't want to be here. Okay? Anyway. All right? So far what we have studied